Merit will share two important things. First, she will share about her long experience as a diplomat, and the second one is about the study in the US. I think some of the participants are the grantee of the LPGP, so they are taking, correct Pak Taufik, yeah, some of them are LPGP grantee. They are taking English courses at the UNS, and hopefully in the 4 months, 6 months, they will get a good score of the English proficiency, and then they can apply to domestic and overseas universities. And hopefully some of them, they will study in the US, strongly hope. The first topic is, I think, is very important because, you know, life as a diplomat is not easy, and Deputy Merit will explain in detail the experience, long experience, 20 years, right? 20 years, more than 20 years experience as a diplomat. You know, it's not only about professional works, but also how to manage the family and so on and so forth. I think there will be very challenging, you know, dealing with that kind of issues. And then the second topic is also interesting, especially for our students and also our faculty members. As we know, of course, the US is still dominating in the top universities in the world, and I think according to QS and TSC, I think the top 10 universities, 9 or 8 of 9 universities are still in the US. So yes, of course, US university is still a popular destination for international students, not only because of the ranking, but also because of the diverse academic program and also a strong in research and innovation. When I was young, twice I tried to apply to NYU and failed. Then I slowed down to Boston University and still do not get the acceptance. And then finally, I go to different islands. So yeah, I think studying in the US is still, you know, a dream of every single individual in Indonesia. So yeah, and hopefully more and more Indonesians will get degree from the US universities. Then I think there will be a detailed explanation about the studying in the US, dealing with, you know, maybe visa, immigration, and so on and so forth. So Deputy Merit will explain in detail. And then, yes, of course, I do hope that this event will also strengthen the partnership between US Embassy and also the university. And hopefully, there will be more collaborative activities in the near future, especially on academic and cultural exchange programs. So, yeah, hopefully there will be some concrete activities between the two institutions. Let's say, for example, you know, a couple of years ago, we have the American corner, but now disappeared. So hopefully, we can establish again the American corner in the university. And yeah, it's not only, you know, providing the information about studying in the US, but also I think some information about cultural side of the US in UNS will be beneficial for the student and also from the faculty members. So I think that's all for me without taking so much time. So thank you for joining this event, and I wish you a productive and informative talk show. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Prof. Irwan, for the opening remark. And the next opening remark is going to be from the Deputy Chief of Mission of U.S. Embassy, Jakarta, Ms. Heather Merritt. To Ms. Merritt, the time is yours.
Selamat siang.
Hello.
So nice to be here in Solo this afternoon. I want to offer special thanks to the Vice Rector, Prof. Irwan, for that warm welcome, and to our moderator, and of course to Pak Taufik, who I think is going to come join me in a minute for our conversation. And of course, thank you to Universitas Sabalas Maret for welcoming the team from the U.S. Embassy today. It is a huge pleasure to be in Solo for the first time and to be here as part of our United States Embassy's Freedom 250 program. This year, in 2026, the United States marks 250 years since the signing of our Declaration of Independence. It's a moment to reflect on the ideals that continue to guide us: opportunity, civic responsibility, and the belief that people can build a better future through education and hard work. And as you'll see in our name of our celebration, it's also very much a celebration of a value that the United States and Indonesia equally hold dear, and that is freedom. Today's conversation has two parts. First, I want to share a little bit about what it means to be a diplomat, and a little bit about my biography, and how U.S. diplomacy can support peace and security and prosperity around the world. And secondly, my team who focuses on education in the United States and USA team will talk about pathways for study in the United States and the practical steps you can take to explore those opportunities, which I hope many of you will. The United States and Indonesia have strong education and people-to-people ties. Thousands of Indonesians have studied in the United States and returned home with new skills, networks, and ideas. Many of them become leaders in government, business, and civil society. We have currently over 8,000 Indonesians studying across the United States, and our alumni network here is much, much bigger, over 19,000 active alumni of different U.S. government-sponsored programs alone. And we're really proud of the way that people who've spent time in the United States partner with us and become ambassadors, so to speak, with us to help bridge our peoples together. So thank you for joining today. I look forward to the talk show and to answer your questions and hopefully have a very lively discussion. Thank you. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you so much, Ms. Berg, for your opening remark. Please will remain here first, Miss, for the group photo session. Yes. And before that, we would like to hand out some memorabilia to you, Miss, to the Deputy Chief of Mission, U.S. Embassy, Jakarta, Ms. Heather Berry, and to Prof. Irwan as the Vice Rector for Bafuenes. Please be kind enough to come up to the stage to hand out the memorabilia. To the documentation team, please be ready to capture the snapshots of today's event. From Education USA to join with us here to do the group photo. And please turn around, Ms. Mark and Prof. Irwan. I think it's better if we do it down here. And to ladies and gentlemen from the audience, please come closer. Silakan mendekat, karena kita setelah ini akan mengadakan sesi foto bersama dengan para narasumber kita pada siang hari ini. Mari Bapak Ibu, silakan supaya bisa kelihatan dan facing the stage, yes. Perhaps you can stand back a bit. Yes. Is it good?
Merapat ke jalan, kan come closer.
Mari Bapak Ibu, silakan Bapak Ibu yang merasa ingin magic bisa lebih mendekat lagi. Oke, udah masuk frame semua, Mas? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You may return to your seat.
Nanti kau pakai semua ya? Tadi bisnisnya. Oh ini tadi. Kalian switch. Ayo.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now arriving at the material session. This session is going to be led by a moderator, in which it is going to be none other than our beloved Head of Language Center of INS, Mr. Muhammad Taufik Al-Makmoum, SSMA PhD, or is commonly known as Mr. T. So a brief introduction, Pak Taufik ini, Mr. T is an academician specializing in the transnational study of the American culture with a focus on transnational identity, digital media, and American socio-cultural practices and their global impact. This includes their relationship to Javanese and Indonesian cultural sovereignty. A two-time Fulbright scholar, he also taught at Columbia University in 2007 and earned his PhD from Bowling Green State University in 2024, where his dissertation examined globalization's impact on street vendor culture in Indonesia. And his MA is from Utrecht University, the Netherlands. With nearly 2 decades of experience at UNS, he teaches English, American Cultural Studies, Media and Digital Humanities. His previous roles include Director of the UNS International Office, and this afternoon, he blesses us with his presence to lead the material session along with our incredible speakers today. Now let's warmly welcome him by giving a big round of applause to Mr. T, ladies and gentlemen. And please, Mr. T, you may come up to the stage.
Mr. T.
Okay, thank you, Surya, for the introduction. And I would like to say good afternoon to everybody. Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Well, also welcome to GPH Haryo Mataram Auditorium, because some of you is also coming from LBGP program, that you are coming from different part of Indonesia, but for when a student, maybe it's already your playground. Okay, so yeah, today we are opening a window to the world, as we will have a talk show, yeah, not only to study the USA, but we will also at the first session, we will have the Deputy Chief of Mission, yeah, to start the first session on the talk show of life as a diplomat. We are deeply honored that to welcome Miss Heather Merritt. Please join me on the stage. So, yeah, I would like to briefly introduce her. So, Miss Heather Merritt, please join me. Yeah, thank you. Is a career foreign service officer with over 25 years of experience in the U.S. Department of State, and she joined the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta, Indonesia, right now as the Deputy Chief of Mission. Yeah. Started in August 2024 and served previously as the same position, DCM in South Africa. So this is like at the side before in Indonesia, and also the U.S. Consul General in Johannesburg. So Ms. Heather worked as a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State in the Bureau of International Narcotic and Law Enforcement Affairs, or INL, in Washington. Yeah, used to be. Yeah, okay. And she was a DCM at the U.S. Embassy in Luanda, Angola. Yeah, and had a prior diplomatic assignment in Botswana, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, And also Mexico is pretty much all over the world. Yeah. And as well as several tours in Washington. So she joined the Department of State since 1996. Oh wow. 1998, yeah, okay. Yeah, so Heather is a native of Illinois with a BA and MA in political science from Northern Illinois University, and her MS in National Resource Strategy from the Dwight D. Eisenhower School for National Security and Resource Strategy at National Defense University. So here is her husband, got married, and there are two children. I heard in Indonesia, but I just have a conversation with her that, the first child now back to the United States in Iowa. So, Miss Mary, so I give the floor to you, like in the next 20 to 30 minutes, and then we will have a conversation with the audience regarding the life as a diplomat. Yeah, looking at you already been traveling around the world. Yeah, okay.
Well, thank you again, Delphi. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you, students. Part of the presentation that we've kind of already done, because biography was part of what we were going to talk about, is just to say that I've had the pleasure of doing this for a long time. I think many of you in this room are probably have had fewer years of age than I have with the State Department as a diplomat. So 28 years of serving, being a public servant, working for government of the United States, and representing my country internationally, which is something my colleagues and I are very proud of. I think if we're going to just quickly, we can advance to other slides. We were going to use some examples of my life to talk a little bit about what diplomacy is, what diplomats do, and so Taufik talked a little bit about education. Maybe I'll just say I grew up in a working class family in a small town in Illinois, which is middle of the country, mostly an agricultural state. But the big city many of you will have heard of is called Chicago. Maybe you know the Chicago Bulls from basketball or some of the other sports teams. And went to university nearby. We have a system of many excellent public universities across the United States. So traveled to one near my home where I did an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree in political science. And then for us, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has annual examinations every year. And so it's a very democratic process. If you wish to enter the service, the public service, you need to prove that you have an understanding of foreign languages, of geography, of history, of culture. You need to pass a very serious background check. And it's extremely competitive to take those exams, but as a very young person, younger than many of you in this room, I passed those exams. And I started as a diplomat, so there's a little bit of information up there about what it's like. It varies based on the year, how many people we hire, but for us, the foreign service is what we call our diplomatic corps, is based on a military model. The diplomats have a rank, it's in their person, and you are reviewed each year for promotion based on your personal achievements over time, and can rise up in the ranks over time, like a military officer would go from a sergeant to an officer perhaps, and go up from a major to a colonel, etc. So, yeah, so we can just have a conversation, yeah.
That's really interesting. Maybe some from the floor is also coming from international relations. Can you raise your hand if you're coming from international relations?
Or political science.
Or political science?
What about
Maybe
personal
not.
relation?
Oh, maybe they saw.
Maybe they're language students.
Okay. So, you're moving a lot on your post. And
Yes.
what about the cultural adaptation with the new situation in a different country?
So cultural adaptation is a big part of the job. The thing that I tell our diplomats, and I also tell audiences like you around the world, is that diplomacy fundamentally is a people business. although you're working for government, what our job is to connect with people around the world and to find common cause and to advance things together that are in our mutual interest. And so a big part of that is flexibility. Pak Taufik mentioned, I think I've done 7 overseas assignments in countries as varied as Indonesia, Mexico, South Africa, Nigeria. Every one of them is quite different. Often language studies are a big part of succeeding and getting to know people. But even like in Indonesia, unfortunately, I came straight from South Africa. I didn't have time to do language training. Maaf, I'm very sorry. I wish I could speak with you more in Bahasa Indonesian. But cultural knowledge, sort of flexibility, as you say, is really important. We spend a lot of time looking at the history and the culture of a place, understanding do's and don'ts so that we can make the best case, make friendships across different institutions, and find ways to work together in our mutual interests. So in this case, for the good of Indonesia, the good of the United States.
That's interesting when you say about do and don't entering a new cultural environment. Maybe some of in the floor, maybe you're not as what is it like what's it to say like anybody want to continue study in the U.S. in this room? Maybe you can raise your hand.
They're very shy, but I see lots of hands.
Yeah. Okay. I saw many hands raised over there. Okay, so like, what do you want to say for Indonesian students who would like, continue study in the U.S. culturally? What they need to prepare?
Well, I think you're doing the right thing. First of all, you're studying at a world-class institution, so you're raising your academic standards, being here at UNS. And you're working on your language skills, which is a really important part of success if you were to go to an English language country, including the United States, of course, for another degree, or even an exchange program for a semester or a year. And so working on your fluency and your comfort reading, writing, speaking in English, being targeted and focused about what it is you want to get out of the study experience, I think is also important. And I know my colleagues are going to talk to you more about choosing the best place. But we have, I think it's over 9,000 different colleges and universities in the United States. Some of them are very small. Some of them are big like UNS. Like my son is at a school with 30 or 40,000 other students. That are comprehensive, that have, like here, like 16 faculties. Some are only studying something very specific. So I think knowing yourself, your skills, being a good writer, being a good thinker, having good discipline about studying and doing your assignments on time are all really important.
Okay. Yeah. Well, still, what is it about the study and you're mentioning about big and small? Yeah, many in the United States, many university is like a college town, right? And then maybe when we are in Indonesia or Indonesian student imagining about the US, they always think about like big city like New
Right.
York and then Chicago.
Yeah.
What is like your advice to those right now who like to continue study in the US?
Now, it's a great question, Pak, and I think we mentioned I have 2 children. So I have one who just started university and the other in grade 12 who starts in August. So I've been through thinking about this a lot lately with my own family. There is a lot to be said for going to school in a big town like New York, where everything is available. Every kind of food. We call New York, the Big Apple, the city that never never sleeps. Sorry, it does sleep. But the problem is there can be a lot of distractions. And it can also be very expensive to live in a very large city. I think that's something people don't always realize is cost of living varies depending on where you go. My son is in Iowa, which is a small agricultural state in the middle of the country. He's in a large university, but the town is only 50,000 people beyond the university. And so there are many different options. I think people they should do more homework because the schools you've heard of or the cities you've heard of are not always the best options and they're not the only options.
Okay, yeah. So before I give the mic to the floor,
Mm.
and so I think they might have also question. I still also have a question
Of course.
regarding the lives as a diplomat, because you're moving from one
Yes.
country to the other. Like, can you just mention, because it might also be the future experience of the student that
I hope so.
would like to pursue higher education outside of Indonesia. Like, what is like the most challenging, like a cultural barrier that you've been encountered, like during your experience since, as a
Yeah.
diplomat?
I think language is always the hardest, and so this is the first country I've come to where I didn't, that didn't speak English as a common language, that I didn't get trained for. So I actually find it challenging, but I've been amazed at the welcoming and kindness of the people of Indonesia and people's willingness to accept a few broken words of Bahasa Indonesian, and their skill with English across the country is amazing. But language is number one. Communication is key, right? Anywhere new. And I think just culture shock, food is really important to feeling comfortable in a place, understanding and feeling that people are interested in sort of either tasting the same things you do or getting accustomed to the food in a new place can be really challenging. And I'll just say culture, thinking about sort of aggressiveness versus passivity. So, for example, I worked in Nigeria, which is a very populated, big country, largest population in Africa. And so a little bit like Indonesia, high population density. And Nigerians have a pretty aggressive culture. They're like the New Yorkers of Africa. And then I moved to southern Africa to a country called Botswana, which is a beautiful, peaceful country. It is the size of the state of Texas, but only about less than 2 million people. So quiet, small, and everyone is the same ethnic group. Very cattle raising, like rural place. And the pace is very slow, and people are very shy, I would say. So it's thinking about how to tailor how aggressive or how gentle you are in your messaging can be really important about new culture.
Okay, yeah, so again, like entering new environment, it's like to blend, adapting. So,
Yeah.
do you have any favorite international food?
Lots of favorite international foods from around the world. I mean, I've had the pleasure of, Indonesian food is amazing. Everyone loves nasi goreng. Everyone loves gado-gado. Everyone loves the foods they try here. Satay. Satay is global food. In South Africa, they actually have a lot of South Asian influence, and they make a great curry. They also do incredible beef, like they're ranchers. They love to grill meat, so there's some really good grilled meat. Mexico, Americans generally love Mexican food, or our version of Mexican food. So, we like spicy tacos. Spicy food is very popular with Americans, including me.
Spicy food, yeah. I think Indonesia is like.
Indonesia has great spicy food, yes.
Okay, so I still keep like a question, but
Yeah.
I think it's also great to
Absolutely, to
give
integrate the
the
audience.
floor if you have a question. So I think it's already like we know like the life of diplomat that the DCM's already
It's okay.
experienced, yeah. And then now I would like to invite if you would like to know it's about like a cross-cultural understanding, like because it's already experienced, or even like the life as diplomat. Yeah. Please, anybody from the floor? Okay, yeah,
There's a
from the
great
corner.
soul.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. So my name is Waqas and I'm actually from Pakistan. And I've been already in 2 countries, in Thailand and now in Indonesia. So, I know it's not easy to be an international student, especially in a country where there is international education is not that common. I don't have any international class fellow here, so all are local. So the challenge that in the beginning I faced, it is very fortunate when I got here. I did not have to directly to my department. So before that, I spent 6 months in the Indonesian language classroom. So like those 6 months really helped me to adapt to the culture here and to understand the psychology of people around me. So when I was to the department later on, I was like fully prepared. What I want to say that, for example, if I go to a country and have to start the department directly, I do not get a chance to understand the culture. And I immediately take the burden of the studies, especially in the masters, like by research degrees or PhDs. So if we compare it to the US universities, previously I secured admission in the Louisiana State University and also in the Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. But due to the, a lot of, I cannot comment on that. So I got rejected from the embassy as a visa, I mean. So I could not make it to the US. So for example, like I did not know this thing from before, that we have the cultural burden with academic burden. So if we have like to spend 6 months or 1 year before we join the academia, it would be really helpful in order to adapt to the culture before we go to the department. But if we look at the US universities, there is nothing like that. Like no cultural programs before we start our PhD or masters. So what would be your strategy or tip in order to take these both challenges at a time in a way that my cultural side doesn't affect my academic side and my academic burden does not affect my mental level, because I have to treat a lot of people when I go out of the classroom. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for the question from Pakistan. I think thank you. So the question is like the burden. It's not only academic life, but also culture outside of that. Maybe what is like.
Well, I think we both may have some things to offer with your cross-cultural studies background. Look, I think you're absolutely right that the more time you have to adapt to language and culture, it helps you succeed as a student. I think we do have in some US programs students who come early, sometimes to do several months of language and cultural studies. I think there are some programs where people study sort of top-up English language ahead of a bachelor's or even a master's program, and our team can talk about it more. But even in this era where we don't always have time and money, I would just say virtual encounters with the culture can be helpful. I know my daughter is getting ready for exams in Spanish, and we're watching like telenovelas on Netflix in Spanish. The things that you can do to interact with getting a picture of what life and culture in a place is like through a podcast, a movie, a television show is something. It's not ideal. And then I would just say, at least at universities I'm familiar with in the United States, we have pretty active foreign student offices or international student offices that do a lot of orientation programming, sometimes match students with host families or host contacts. And I think those are really valuable if you're offered such an opportunity to take advantage of leaning in to the support about language, culture, everything from like where to find a winter coat at a good price to a family that might offer you a friendly meal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I think international student community, right? It's going to be helpful to bridge in a new space. Yeah. Okay, so I still invite like other question if you still have on the floor. They also there. Yeah. Yes. In the side.
Amat pertanyaannya.
Yes.
Aku cuma mau nanya gini, saya tuh tertarik sama series Sheldon. Dia tahu nggak tapi The Big Bang Theory sama Friends.
Hello,
Sebenarnya hidup di Amerika tuh yang mana?
really nice to meet
Apakah
you.
in between
I'm
atau beneran
Madeline.
ada
I'm from IELTS class.
Nggak apa-apa sih.
So we're coming for like English enrichment program from the LPDP previously mentioned, and because I come from STEM background, I really want to know why you choose life as a diplomat, and like how you convince like younger generation, hey, let's follow my footsteps, and why it's US, from like real reasons, like why you should come like really real reasons, like what we do have, and as a diplomat, why you want to serve your country, something like that. Thank you so much.
So good, thank you so much. Look, I think as a student, I was always interested in languages and foreign cultures, history, learning about not only my own country, but why other countries did things differently. And I had an opportunity as a university student to do a semester in the Czech Republic, in Prague, when it was actually just new as the Czech Republic, and in the 90s, and so it was still kind of an unusual thing for Americans to study there, and it was a wonderful opportunity for me, and the first time I saw what a U.S. office overseas and ambassador consulate could do to help and protect citizens, to advance trade relationships, security relationships, all the things that we do. And I decided to just, the way we often do as university students, take the exam because I thought it would be a good paying, good job, and it has been. But I think most of us are motivated in the same way that our military colleagues are, that we're devoted to public service, we're patriotic, we want to do things to help our country, but in addition to do it in a way that advances global understanding and world peace.
Thank you. Any other question?
Why do you think US consider
Yeah.
themselves?
While you're thinking, I will come back if you have a question. I think also the last question is connecting to what we have talked earlier, that life as a diplomat is also nomadic. Yeah, that's also challenging, right? I mean, living from one place
Yes.
next to the other country, and you also have a family.
Yeah.
How you cope with that?
I mean,
moving. It's not only serious, right?
Well, I mean, I have to give huge credit to my husband and my children for being flexible and providing me with support their entire lives in the case of my children, and for many years with my husband, not quite as many as I've been with the State Department. It's really hard on spouses and partners because their job often gets disrupted. There are many places we go that they can't work. And so it's challenging. My husband's been able to work remotely from many places to keep work in the United States. That's been a blessing, but it's hard, especially with the time zone differences here. And my children were born nomadic. They don't know any different. And so they were born while we lived in Nigeria, and 3 years later they lived in Botswana, and a few years later they lived in another place. The plus side of that is it opens their eyes to the fact that there are many good things and good people in the world. They're not rigid, they're flexible. And they know and care about the world. And my son is now surprised at how sometimes his peers at university don't know about the world in the way that he does.
Flexible and care the word. And it's like two. Yeah, important. And global. Yeah, the sense of global. So now, go back to our theme today. That what brought you here is also the celebration of the 25th year of the United States.
Indeed.
What does it mean to you as a diplomat? I mean, the 250.
I mean, first of all, I think I'm very proud as a citizen to be reminded that we, like Indonesia, like so many countries, had to fight for our independence. That we achieved our independence after declaring independence from the UK and fighting with our colonial power at that time. And we did so based on a constitution and principles that were rooted not only in kind of the Anglo-Saxon legal tradition, but some of the ideals of France and the French Revolution. And I think, like Indonesia and so many partner nations, we're dedicated to freedom and to all men being created equal. And I go back to the words of our founding fathers. I'm really proud of that.
Thank you. Also, many of right now on the floor are also thinking would like to continue studying in the US. So what would you say to them about the United States?
Supaya mereka bisa mencapai, kalau in my opinion itu adalah American dream mereka, American dreamnya yang
Well, first of all, I would just say the United States welcomes
pinter
you.
kan berbeda dengan
Indonesia is the fourth largest country in the world and growing.
American
and there are only about 8,400 Indonesians studying in the US, which is actually quite low for 280 plus million people. So we would love to have more of you. I think considering how important Indonesia is, Americans don't know enough about it, and I would love for you to come be ambassadors for your country in communities across the United States. I want people in Florida and Missouri and California and Alaska to know about your food and your traditions and your artistry and your culture. And other nations that are this size, like India, you think about how many Indians are living, working, diaspora in the United States, many, but Indonesia's not that, I mean, you know, you're not so far behind. So I would love to see more. I think the biggest tip I have is to be thoughtful about the breadth of opportunities. There's something in the United States for everyone. We're a really large country with so many different climates and sizes of population, and people are friendly and curious in most places.
Thank you. Also, I will still come back to the floor if you have a question before we conclude, because Ms. Heather Merritt not having much time, right? Yeah.
I think I've got about 15 more minutes.
Okay, 15 more minutes. So if you have like a question, please, you can raise your hand. Okay, so we have over there.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, Mr. Heather Merritt. My name is Isti, and I'm also the graduate from the University from Universitas 11 Maret. In 2024, I and my team is being a delegation from Universitas 11 Maret to go to the US, to Florida, in a robot competition. And at that time, I and my team is also have a big dreams that can study in the United States. Because at the time we have a lot of friends from Massachusetts and then from Michigan and also Cornell. But when I graduated from my bachelor and discussed with my friend to take the study in the developed country, we feel afraid because we come from developing country and maybe we have a different education environment with the developed country. My question is, can you give us the motivation or like persuasion that we couldn't afraid about the study abroad? And yeah, this is my question. Thank you.
Well, congratulations to you and your team. That's really great. Representing Indonesia in the world. I mean, I think the best answer to your question maybe is to say, you and your team, did you feel welcome? Did you enjoy your stay in Florida?
Did you enjoy it?
Because it sounds to me like you had a very successful visit, which means you absolutely have everything it takes to succeed.
Okay, my experience when I go to the US is that the people in USA is very friendly. The first day we land on Florida, everyone say, "Hello Indonesia, how about your journey? Hi, welcome to Florida." And a lot of people mention about my face. They say, "Oh, your hair is very beautiful." And yes, and the friend from the team inside us from Michigan is give us the like what they said. They say to us that we are the best smelling food team because every day we eat the Indonesian food into the.
Well, I think it's true. Indonesians are the friendliest people in the world. So you obviously showed well for your country in Florida. But I think what I'm trying to motivate you is everyone in this room is welcome and capable of succeeding, whether it's a competition or a US program. Sometimes financing is challenging and it's not for everyone. Some people are happier in the environment they know. the level of kind of flexibility, and you have to be a bit courageous to move around the world to a new country, to be far from family, far from friends. But you have that courage, and so you've already had a success. And I would just say be brave. Be brave. Take a chance if you're interested. And it's okay if you're not interested. There are great things to study here in Indonesia.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. Can you mention what is the name of the program?
The program is International Robot Competition by Robonation.
Okay, International Robotic Competition, robotic competition.
Amazing.
And also tomorrow in the Diplomat, there will be like an event held by US Embassy, and there are also a lot of information about US related programs, especially for Indonesia. So if you are interested, you can join the program tomorrow. We will give you the information later on. Okay, so go back to the floor. If you still have a question, please do. Okay, over here. Tolong mic-nya dari sini.
Oh gitu. Oh yang Heather-nya. Heather is common name. Family name-nya itu lebih unik lagi. Oh iya. What were you named after?
Hello, Miss Merit. Thank you for your sharing. I noticed earlier that one of your slides outlined the stages you've gone through in your career, if I'm not mistaken. And the question is, what if someone who is just beginning their studies in the US, where should we start? Where should we start? If we pursue, if we aspire to this role, I am personally extremely wanted to become a diplomat one day. And based on your experience and your perspective, how is someone with a science background, non-political or non-social background, is generally perceived when they aim to pursue a diplomatic career? That's it.
I think that's a fantastic question. I can speak for the United States Foreign Ministry. I can't speak for how Kamloops chooses its employees here at the ministry. But I will just say that we increasingly recognize science and technology cooperation as a big part of global affairs and trade and economic development. And so we are actively seeking more graduates who have a science and technology background. And just this week, we had new meetings on energy cooperation. We have a new effort on semiconductor development. So diplomats and trade officials at embassies and consulates around the world are trying to find ways to improve supply chains, deepen global trade ties. You know, we're in the middle of finalizing a trade agreement with Indonesia that should have greater U.S. investment here, but also two-way sales of products between our countries, leading to more jobs for more Indonesians. And so from our perspective, we have a sort of a group of diplomats who specialize in trade, economic development, the economy, and science and technology is a focus.
Yeah, because the collaboration is not limited by people to people, also economy, yeah, science.
I mean, at least in our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we need doctors because we have sort of doctors and nurses who help at our embassies keep our families safe. We need public health specialists to partner with other governments. We have military colleagues. We have security officers who help to make sure that our red houses are safe and cooperate with TNE and with the police here. We have a whole range of expertise, finance, business majors who help run our books and our procurements, everything.
Yeah. Any other question? Hey.
Curious.
Hi, Mr.
Namanya.
Thank you for the opportunity and also thank you for the insightful talk. My name is Najmul Nasubu and I'm an awardee of LPDP Scholarship, the Indonesian Government Scholarship. And I want to pursue my study at the United States, Purdue University. And I plan to take my wife with me. However, the scholarship will not cover her. So my question is regarding the visa. What is the financial proof or documents should I prepare for her during our stay in the United States? Thank you.
So it's a great question. We will have a talk tomorrow that we can provide more details on with our team that does the visa processing, so they can get into some of the details. Look, anyone who's applying for a U.S. visa, our standard is to understand that they've got financial ties and economic and sort of social ties that will motivate them to return to Indonesia, to be a non-immigrant, and to maintain themselves while they're in the U.S. So on the spouse, it is fairly common for students to bring spouses, children. That part is not uncommon. I can't speak to your economic side of it and what the scholarship covers. But typically, the costs are not so much more for a husband and wife than they are just for one student. It's really food. I mean, housing you share, another plane ticket, right? I think it's not uncommon for people to bring spouses, sometimes children, while they study.
Yeah, so that's possible because I can speak on behalf of my experience. So I was also with my wife and daughter when I was studying in the U.S. So yeah, the visa is also possible, like F2 or J2 for spouse. But
It's different for every individual, so
Yeah,
we can't
for
speak to a
every
specific
individual.
case, but the costs are not so much higher.
Yeah. It's as long as can finance it equal with the monthly lives and it is covered, just to make sure that they can live in the United States with the financial support that you have. Okay, so the detail, if you really interested on it, tomorrow there will be event in the Colomadu that you can join and you can have more information. I think I saw other question before. Yeah, it's now I have two. Yeah, okay. Here and then go back.
So, hi Miss Mary, thank you so much for this sharing session. It's wonderful, and I want to ask questions regarding how to say it's like a student loan or a global scholarship from the university in the United States of America. So as I was remembered that some of my friends from Papua, they got scholarships, but however the payment regarding the scholarships to the university, it was late. It's kind of like 3 months to 6 months, and in university you need to take some credits you need if you want to attend the class. However, they still have no money to take some credit units, but I heard from them that they got a student loan or they got the global scholarship from the university. So maybe you can share some information to me and my fellow friends regarding the loan or something. So if we face the problem, we can have like the advice or the recommendation for that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Boo. I would just say that our next presentation, they can get into more details about the different ways to finance. There are so many different scholarships depending on who's funding it. Many universities and colleges offer their own. Some are through foundations, some are through governments, so it varies widely. Loans are not as common, at least from the U.S. government, for international students, although there might be some banking institutions that offer that type of credit, but I wouldn't be the expert on that, so thank you.
Yeah. If you have a question about detail in studying the USA, right away after this we will have the session. Yeah. Okay. So we still have one question over there.
But we're glad for the interest.
Thank you for the opportunities to ask you. And actually, I'm a high school student in one of school in Solo, SMA Batik 1 Surakarta. My name is Azra. I just want to ask you, if you could speak to your high school self, what would you tell them about preparing for a diplomatic life because I want have a dream to be a diplomat career. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, Adra. The world was really different. I won't tell you what year I graduated high school. I'm gonna feel really old. I would tell my high school self that you can do it and don't give up. I don't think my high school self even dreamed that I would live outside the United States or have a successful career and be a senior government executive. So I'm very proud of myself, and I just think, just keep trying, study, make connections, raise your hand. My biggest advice to everyone is volunteer for things in the classroom, outside the classroom. Make it known that you want to try, and if you offer yourself, good things will happen.
Yeah. So just do it, right? And make it happen. Okay. So I also hope that the way that we can just do it, make it happen. I know there's also times that we already got the warning. So yeah, Miss Mary, yeah, thank you so much. It's been like a wonderful afternoon to have this discussion, and I hope that it's going to be like inspiring for those right now in the floor. Yeah, there are like three important words that I might be highlighting from you. Yeah, it's like like being international with what's your experience. You said about like be flexible, yeah, and then care with people and be global. Okay, thank you so much, for this inspiring talk. And please run a big applause to Miss Heather Mary. Terima kasih. Yeah. So the Deputy Chief of Mission of the United States Embassy in Jakarta. Thank you. Okay, once again, thank you to the Deputy Chief of Mission of the United States Embassy in Jakarta. So now I would like to invite Mbak Santika to come join me on the stage, and we would like to continue our discussion and study in the USA. Okay. Okay, before we start, Mbak Santika. Oke, so kita langsung ini aja ya.
Yes.
Oke, saya perkenalkan sebentar boleh?
Boleh.
Please welcome Mbak Santika Salim, and she is right now an advisor with Education USA Indonesia, and with over 6 years of experience based on the US Embassy in Jakarta. And Mbak Santika provides guidance to students nationwide on finding the best fit university.
That's right.
Kalau yang mau kemana tadi mikir kalau ke US So right now we have right person to ask and securing scholarship and what kind of program that we want to pursue from the US scholarship. And she's also an alumni from the Washington State University. And of course, then she has like the experience and the journey from the first hand. Okay.
Thank you so much, Pak Taufik.
Time to you. I just be here. You let me know, and then we can just have like a relaxed afternoon talking about education in the USA. Now I would like to offer to you. Do you want to have the discussion in bahasa Indonesia or in English?
English. Ada yang jawab bahasa? Siapa? Oh, English. Okay, I love this. So I've been paying a lot of attention to what Pak Taufik and Bu Heather was talking about, and I'm so happy that most of the questions involve study in the US. That means your interest, your passion to study in US is very, very high within this crowd, especially on the side. I'm hoping I will get more from the side, hopefully. Pak Taufik, but I guess, so we both are US alumni. So honored to know you, Pak. And
when I was when you were introduced with all of your experience, I'm like so amazed because you teach in one of the most prominent U.S. university, and it's called Ivy League. Kalau teman-teman tahu Ivy League, itu sekolah cuma 8, tapi orang cuma tahunya Harvard, Yale, MIT, Columbia, and nobody knows about Brown and Dartmouth, right? And I can't even remember all of them by now. Tapi Pak Taufik mengajar you taught in one of the most prominent U.S. university, which is Columbia University, and I feel like you spend more time in the States than me. Coba, how many years? 5 years. So definitely more years than me. So I spent about 3 years in the U.S. for my bachelor degree. I came back and I somehow became thrown into the education field, and I turns out to enjoy it because it's very enlightening to see fellow Indonesians are so fired up to study in the US and get the experience that I think everybody should try to experience once in their lifetime. Setuju ya Pak ya? Setuju. Jadi di sini aku mau teman-teman tahu Education USA karena kita itu menteri luar negerinya Amerika Serikat. So I'm just going to show the slides here. I hope it's not too small for you, but I will help you by reading it out and kind of translate some parts that I think are quite difficult to understand in Bahasa Indonesia. Okay, so bear with me. This is the theory, quote unquote, and I put the title today for Pursue Your Graduate Studies in the USA because this title is longer and more specific for you to pursue your graduate studies. Is what I tailor because most of you, if not all of you, are already a university student, right? So I want you to think about your future as a graduate student, S2 dan S3-nya, begitu. Okay? Mengikuti jejak Pak Taufik tentunya, okay? And Education USA, okay. So my name is Santika. I am one of the advisor for Education USA Indonesia. And Education USA is a Department of State network. Jadi kita itu menteri luar negerinya Amerika Serikat langsung, ya, yang bergerak di higher education-nya. Jadi we are giving information and consultation, everything free of charge. Whatever we do is to help the student to study in the United States for bachelor, master, or PhD level, right? Even sometimes we focus on the full degree, S1, S2, S3. But if you come to us for the exchange program under the U.S. Embassy, like YC or something like that, you can still ask questions and we'll still do our best to help answer your question, okay? So again, Education USA exists in 170 plus countries. So for example, we had the first question from someone from Pakistan, am I right? And I Googled it up and we are there. So there are Education USA Pakistan, and if you are not from Indonesia, feel free to Google up Education USA and then your country name. If it pops up, and they have a team, you can book a consultation free of charge, okay? They can answer your question in your native language, which helps, of course, right? And also, what else did I take note earlier when Heather was explaining? So we have 430 international student advising centers, and that means more or less in each country, we usually have 2 to 3 centers. And I want to let you know that Indonesia is a big team, and that resonates with what Heather said. We want more, US wants more Indonesians to study in the United States. Therefore, of course, they have to invest and make the team more elaborate to help most of the Indonesians who wants to study in the States. Next. All right, so how many states US have? Siapa cepat dia dapat. There's a prize. There you go. White shirt. White shirt, third row. 1, 2, 3, in the middle. Yes. Can you stand up, please? There you go. Coba berapa? How many states? 50 states, correct. Yay. Woo. Okay, one more biar bangun so that you can wake up from this, slump. We call it the slump after lunch and coffee break time, gitu kan. Okay, Liberty Statue. In which state is Liberty Statue located? Oh, we got this lady, she actually tried for the first question, she didn't get it, and she tried it. It's good. It's mentally, she's ready to apply to US universities, because sometimes it's not like fairy tale. You usually watch YouTube videos, right? Like how to get into Harvard, what to write, blah blah blah. It's like fairy tale, like first try, get in, get scholarship and everything, but real life is not like that. Okay? So,
New York City.
sorry?
New York City.
Yay! Correct. Well, it's New York State, but you got the answer correct technically. Alright, I hope you're all more awake now. Okay. So if you see this map that I like to put in my presentation, it's basically to show you how big US is, and it's kind of, we were talking about, I was talking with one of the Relo fellows, and she started being stationed in Bandung for probably a year now or something, for some time now, and then she's like, oh yeah, and we talked, right, and she said, oh, it's very interesting that I said US is very different geographically from Indonesia, in the sense that in US you can just drive from one state to another state and to another state until the end of the continent itself. For Indonesia, you cannot. Agak ada jembatannya nggak bisa, because we are separated by the sea, right? We are islands, we're archipelago country. So it's very different in the sense that if you bring this kind of perspective of what you experience in your field or what you study, it is such a plus point. Itu baru satu hal. It's just one thing. So if you can think of different perspective that you can bring as an Indonesian, you definitely have a lot to bring and competitiveness to, study in the United States. Tadi siapa yang tanya di sini kayak gimana kurang pede untuk to face the challenge of academic difference, because US is a developed country and we are like developing country. No, they need a perspective from Indonesia. So I want to boost your confidence there. If you and your team are selected to represent Indonesia just for one thing, like robotic competition, you can talk about how hard it is to find robotic parts in Indonesia, right? And that makes sense because we are still a developing country, not many people know about robotics, and yada yada yada. So that's an example, okay? So I want you to know there are so many opportunities that there are 4,000 plus US universities that are accredited. Ini yang terakreditasi ya, 4.000 lebih, hampir 5.000 US university. And if we pukul rata, ya kita pukul rata nih ya contoh ya, satu universitas, one state university, satu universitas negeri per satu state itu udah 50. Never ever someone who applied to 50 US universities get 0 letter of acceptance. Never. Okay, so that means if you want to study to US and you say I cannot go because no school will accept me, it means you just don't apply to enough US universities. Okay? Exactly. You only apply to Ivy League. And it's not for you. A lot of people think Ivy League is for them because they have 3.9 or 4.0 GPA, but those schools don't only, and US universities in general, they don't only look at your GPA, betul nggak Pak Taufik? Right? They don't only see your GPA, but they also see who you are as a person, what you are passionate about, what kind of experience you have inside, outside of the classroom, in community, what is your, how do you deal with stress? There's actually a question in the application essay, I think it was Harvard kalau nggak salah. Pertanyaannya, how do you deal with stress? What do you do when you're stressed? So some people, they are very, played safe. They say something like, oh, I go to community to volunteer. I try to feed the stray cats on the street, right? You know, the people who actually got accepted, what they wrote, oh, I watch movies. I sing in the shower, and they got accepted. So there's no golden formula to be accepted to certain US universities. You just have to do your best in your application, and I'll show you what they actually asked in their application in terms of general requirements. Next. Okay, so I want you to know that there are plenty of opportunities, especially in recent years. LPDP is one of the most used scholarship for Indonesians especially. Dan LPDP itu nggak cuma reguler. Jadi teman-teman, if you are not from Jakarta or major islands or cities in Indonesia, ini kayaknya ngikutin KTP ya. Please double check. If your ID is not from major islands in Indonesia or major cities in Indonesia, and it falls into targeted atau area yang memang difokuskan oleh pemerintah Indonesia untuk disupport ya untuk studi ke luar negeri, it means your list of universities are more and less competitive. Jadi sekolahnya nggak the requirements to be accepted or like the English proficiency requirements are generally a bit lower compared to those are in the regular list. Okay, so there are different types of LPDP, and there's also Fulbright. If you go to aminef.or.id, it will show you the Fulbright. Just what Pak Taufik experience is from Fulbright, jadi dari websitenya aminef.or.id. So please always go to the official source that I put here to find the latest and most trusted information. Jadi kalau di sini, okay, so you know now that you can, if you're looking for fully funded scholarship, which a lot of us, if not all of us, are looking for, you can go to these two first. And if you learn about Fulbright and then LPDP and you're not, you're not excited about any of them, and you want something from the university because you feel like you don't want to limit yourself after you graduate, you want to experience working there and blah, blah, blah. With whatever reasons you have, including building your life later, which is out of our hand because we only handle the education part, but we don't like tell you cannot do that and blah, blah, blah. You just look for the university side of opportunity. Jadi universitas di Amerika itu ada yang namanya fellowship, ya kan? So it falls under financial aid. Jadi financial aid itu the big umbrella, and inside financial aid there's scholarship, fellowship. Bedanya apa? Scholarship is just given to you once you get it by fulfilling the requirements or the eligibility. For fellowship, you have to do something to give back. So in this term, fellowship itu biasanya teaching atau research assistantship. Jadi buat teman-teman yang di sini, if you are a teaching assistant atau asdos, ya kamu asdos atau asisten riset sekarang, you are on a good track if you're looking for scholarships outside of LPDP or Fulbright. But it's not a guarantee if you are a research assistant or teaching assistant right now, then you will automatically get it. No, you will have to apply for it. You have to look for the opportunity, and sometimes they're not full. Sometimes they go 50 to 100% tuition fee waiver plus stipend. Stipend itu living cost yang minimal di kota itu, dan mungkin Pak Taufik nanti bisa share juga ya Pak Taufik, especially yang kalau misalnya bawa keluarga apa gimana. That is with the standard of, I think they have like some website to check on the standard. So my point is sometimes it's not all 100% covered. So that means if there's like a minus on it or like a shortfall we call it, you need to find other types of scholarship, right? And that requires you to put more effort. Jadi teman-teman kalau mau yang lebih gampang sebenarnya LPDP atau Fulbright. Tapi kalau teman-teman idealnya mau yang dari universitas, ya teman-teman harus put extra effort gitu ya. So there's if you come to me, Kasantika, I want to go to US to study. I want the easiest to get scholarship and the highest ranking school. I will say I don't have it. Gak ada yang gampang. Scholarship itu pasti kompetitif. PR kamu kalau mau study abroad, not only to US, especially to US, you have to think, I am ready to compete. I am ready to give my best. If you want to go to study abroad and you don't have that mindset in the first place, you're already losing with your competitors. Okay, so you have to implant that first. Okay, next. Oke, ini yang list 2025, ini contoh bagaimana kalian ngecek universitas yang supported universities from LPDP, right? And this year, I think they just released the 2026 booklet very recently, just like few days ago, maybe like a week ago, so you can check. But I want to let you know that just from last year's list, there are 145 US universities on the list. And that is the most, that's the biggest contributor. Jadi kamu kalau mau nyari universitas dari negara mana yang banyak juga di listnya LPDP, itu nggak ada yang nandingin US. So US is the biggest contributor for the list. So that speaks of the quality. Jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman kayak, aduh ngapain sih ke Amerika jauh, bla bla bla. If you want the highest quality of education, then the safest bet is still US for now. Okay? Next. Okay, so these are the general requirements. Teman-teman bisa foto atau take notes, terserah, whatever works for you. But in general, of course, you need your bachelor degree atau yang setara, misalnya D3, D4, yang setara. Yes, of course, Pak. I will share that.
We can share that through email later on.
Yes, yes, I will share the PDF for you. And also, we have crucial information on how they can book a session to talk with us. Jadi, that's gonna be very helpful. Thank you, Pak. So we have, of course, you need the official transcript and your previous degree, and then TOEFL, IBT, or IELTS, or other English proficiency that's accepted. Ini kita ngomongin daftar ke US University-nya ya. But a lot of these requirements are also applicable for scholarship application. So if you fulfill this, you can technically apply for scholarship as well. Okay? And the next one is GRE or GMAT or other specific tests depending on your program. So if you are in the law major, di sini ada yang lagi belajar law, hukum? Nope? Oke. Okay. Kalau teman-teman yang belajar hukum, biasanya misalnya mau ngambil Master of Law di Amerika, the test is not GRE or GMAT, but it's LSAT namanya. Oke, okay? GMAT itu untuk business program, GRE itu biasa untuk di luar business program. But these are just the technicalities that you don't have to memorize. You just need to come to Education USA and I will show you why. Okay? So aside from that, you need a CV or resume. That's why when you are still studying in your university, teman-teman yang di UNS atau di luar UNS, ada baiknya itu membangun CV atau resume-nya dari sekarang. Okay? Mau punya aktivitas kek, mau punya klub, organisasi, di luar sekolah, di luar universitas mau ngerjain apa, project apa sama teman, mau riset apa, please start. If not, then your chance to compete with others who are building their CV or resume is going to be, it's going to be hard for you to compete with them if you don't start now. Dan nanti CV kamu pas kamu mau kumpulin itu udah set tuh. You cannot just add stuff and then submit it. You cannot do that because sometimes they have a way to check it. If you write, oh, I belong to this XYZ organization in ONS, and then if they contact ONS and ask about you, because it's so many organizations in ONS, and they wonder if you're really an active student, and they kind of do a random check, right? And turns out the person or the staff in ONS replied, oh no, the student is not registered under any organizations. And you're automatically out because you violate a very fundamental ethical reasons that the US standard put very high. Okay? So you cannot mess that up. So you have to start from now. And then essays. So some of them only ask for one essay, some of them ask for multiple shorter essays. And letter of recommendation, usually minimum of 2 letters, one from your academic perspective, which is usually dosen pembimbing, atau misalnya kamu punya dosen yang kayak kenal banget sama kamu dan subjek itu kamu kuasai banget, atau berhubungan banget sama major yang kamu mau daftarkan, And the other one, if you already are working, you can ask from your supervisor. So usually they will want to see two perspectives from you, academically and professionally. But if you are a fresh graduate, you can, of course, submit both from the academic perspective. But I want you to have a realistic expectations that you are competing with people with working experience. Jadi kalau teman-teman yang fresh grad mau coba dulu pengalaman mendaftar sekolah ke Amerika boleh, tapi ekspektasinya tolong di adjust, bukan yang again not like fairy tale daftar dapat berangkat gitu ya. Okay, and then last but not least interview. So this step is usually with what do I call it? With the scholarship, of course. And some U.S. university admission also have interview phase. I think it depends on the program. So for example, I have a student who are applying for global health delivery at Harvard, and they have this interview selection. So not only all of this administrative stuff, but they want to talk to you, make sure that you are who you wrote in your essay and your CV aligns and everything. So it depends on the program and the school. It's not all school will do that. Okay, next slide. Boleh next lagi. Thank you. So this is what I want to show you. I said Indonesia have a big team. Jadi kita ada 8 center. So imagine one country usually have 2 to 3 centers, and we have 8. That speaks of how much the US in general, or especially US administration really want to have more Indonesian students. So we have 8 centers. We have 2 in Jakarta, 1 Surabaya, Malang, Makassar, Banda Aceh, Medan, and latest one is Samarinda. You can see the advisor's name, and my name is one of them here. And it doesn't matter which advisor or center you go to. Next. Because now you can just book it online. Okay, teman-teman bisa book online, kamu scan aja. Nanti bakal ke calendly.com/educationusa Indonesia, nempel semua. I have the printed version, jadi ada flyernya ini di meja sebelah kiri aku, sebelah kanan kalian. Itu aku taruh, tapi cuma ada 40-50 flyer. Jadi kalau teman-teman mau, bisa ambil, tapi essentially what you need is just this QR code and the link to calendly.com ini. Okay? Nanti kalau kamu scan, itu bakal ada nama advisor sama centernya di mana. And they put their brief or like their short bio or experience. So you can decide which advisor can help you better, and then they have the date and the time that you can choose. Ketemunya di Google Meet atau di Zoom. So there is no excuse because this portal is open 24/7. Okay, portal ini kamu misalnya tengah malam kepikiran banget nih pengen sekolah ke Amerika, getol banget gitu kan. Aduh mau nanya ini nih. Udah penasaran banget mau tahu jawabannya tapi nggak nemu gitu, misalnya you don't know how to find it gitu kan. Just book. Just go to this link, book a session, the closest one that you can find, maybe like tomorrow morning, right? After you wake up. And then just go online and meet the advisor. So we don't have a center here in Solo, but everything shifted online during the pandemic, and this is why everything that we do in terms of advising sessions shifted to the online booking. And we are grateful to do that because we reach more people in Indonesia. Because again, we are an archipelago country, and we are so happy to receive students from all across Indonesia, even though we don't have a center there. Before COVID, we need to rely on people coming in person. Now, during the COVID, a lot of people actually got bored at home, and then they're like, okay, let me try to study abroad, and then they find Education USA. Okay, jadi blessing in disguise banget. Next. Okay, ini official resource, jadi teman-teman kalau penasaran beneran gak sih Education USA dari pemerintah, terus semuanya gratis gitu kan, you can actually, oh no, I missed one slide, but it's okay. You can definitely find it in the website, educationusa.state.gov. So there are 5 steps on how we help anybody to study in US. The first one is research your option. Jadi teman-teman mau S2 kah, S3 kah? Pengen major apa gitu kan, we can discuss, we can help you narrow down your options. For example, for friends who are under LPDP program right now, your list should be from the LPDP's list. That way it's easier for you. You don't have to go around 4,000 US universities finding the one that you want, and then when you want to apply for it or get accepted to that university, but it's not supported by the LPDP, right? So just go to the LPDP's list and then we will work it from there. So that's what we do in guiding you in the advising session. So again, the one that I said you can just book a session is to ask questions, review your essay, CV, whatever you need. Okay, that's the first step where you research your options. Step 2 is financing your studies. If you want to self-fund, you want to find scholarship, partial, full, we can discuss it all. Jadi kalau teman-teman datang ke aku, bilangnya Kak, aku mau nyari fully funded scholarship, aku bakal bilang LPDP atau Fulbright. And then I will ask you, have you read about them, right? Ya kan Pak, we have to make comparison, right? Because they're essentially the same fully funded scholarship, just different funding. Jadi satu LPDP itu dari pemerintah Indonesia, Fulbright dari pemerintah Amerika, ekspektasinya kayak gimana, requirementnya kayak gimana, deadline-nya bedanya di mana. LPDP itu 2 kali setahun deadline-nya, Fulbright itu 1 kali aja teman-teman. Okay, so that's the difference. And the way they process the application, the applicants are also different. LPDP, if you have LOA, you will be able to skip one of the tests, like the scholastic test they call it. For Fulbright, it doesn't matter. If you have letter of acceptance, you don't have letter of acceptance, you're treated the same way. Okay, so that's the main difference. But Fulbright will apply on your behalf. LPDP, however, you need to apply yourself to the university. So that's the main difference that I usually discuss in the step 2. And I usually put step 1 and 2 together if you're a first timer meeting me online or in the consultation. Step 3 is completing your US university application. Basically all of the requirements that we talk about. Boleh mundur slide-nya ke tabel tadi. Thank you. This one. So step 3 is basically we are open to answer any questions you have about any requirements to apply to US universities. Jadi kamu mau review essay, review CV, semuanya gratis. And there's no limitations on only 2 review essay, only 3 times review essay. No, there's no limit. As long as you come in, you are not satisfied yet with your essay, you still have time before the deadline and you feel like you want to improve it, you can. For CV and resume, unfortunately, usually it's like 2 to 3 times maximum because there's nothing you can do about your CV. GPA kamu 3,8, that's it. You cannot like revise it to 3.9 and then 3.95 next time. You cannot do that, right? Jadi CV itu mentok di format-formatnya sama bullet point-nya lebih bagus, lebih ringkas. But that's it. Now for essay, it's different. It's where you can write anything. So there's always something to edit, right? And that is when you can tell the US University admission who you really are on top of your grades, on top of what your CV wrote there, okay? On top of your achievement, how hard it is to achieve that, what you wrote in. Jadi yang di CV kamu tuh cuma tulisannya medali emas Olimpiade apa. But how hard it is for you to study for that Olympic or to practice that Olympic, what are your sacrifices, itu semua bisa di essay. Okay, so that's why it's very important for you to understand that essay takes time and don't come to us H-3, H-1 untuk review, and that was the first time that you do the review. And we are so confused, like if we tell you this is not very good, and then you're like, oh, should I apply or not, right? So please come to us early on, about 1 year, at least 1 or 2 years. Ideally 2 years before you start your study, because timeline-wise, the deadline for US application is end of the year. So the deadline usually is between October, November, December, or January, February, March. But you will start in the next fall. Fall itu akhir Agustus, awal September. So if I apply last year, November 2025, for fall 2026, so that works. But you need to prepare to submit in November 2025, meaning you need to come in at least a few months before the November deadline, right? That makes it almost 1.5 or 1 year, at least 1 year before you start your study. Okay? So yes, step 3 basically is the most demanded service where you can just come in